What's up, guys? Today we're talking about the secret multiplayer storyline that some of you guys may have never heard about. Let's get into it. Yo, what is up, guys? What is going on? Zach or Immortal here. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys so much for stopping by once again. Today we're jumping into the world of Black Ops 3 to talk about a little multiplayer secret story that some of you guys may not know about. Obviously, Black Ops 3 has been out for quite some time, so I'm sure a few of you guys out there do know exactly what I'm talking about, but maybe for a few of you more casual players who don't really browse the Black Ops 3 subreddit or watch a ton of YouTube videos about the game, this might be some new information to you. And I thought it was pretty cool when I found this. It was definitely super interesting to me, and I respect the hell out of Treyarch for going in and making this whole multiplayer backstory, basically just going the extra mile to make this game even better. By no means did they have to add a backstory to every single specialist character in the game, but they did, and it makes it that much cooler. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you slap that like button, give it a big old thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And if you're brand new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on those channel notifications so you can see all of the future videos. Now let's go ahead and let's talk about this multiplayer backstory. So as I'm sure you can tell by what I've just mentioned, it revolves all around the specialist characters in the game. Obviously there's 9 of them, 10 including Blackjack, but the way that we get to this multiplayer backstory is through all the different transmissions. I'm sure some of you guys out there have the hero gear unlocked, and you know when you unlock hero gear for each and every character, you get a secret transmission unlocked that you can then play back, and each one of these transmissions tells something about the backstory of said specialist. And once you unlock all of the hero gears in the game, you get a secret transmission. It's titled 9.1 that basically spills the beans on the whole backstory. So let's go ahead and let's figure out what exactly we learn from each of the transmissions, and then I'll play the 9th and final transmission for you guys, and then we'll break it down and discuss exactly what it means. I also do want to quickly mention that a lot of this information comes from Hypobromite over on Reddit. Big shout out to him for figuring a lot of this out. So if you want to go through and read all this for yourself, because there is some things that I won't mention in this video, I will link the Reddit post down in the description below for all you guys to check out if you'd like. Now let's go ahead and jump into these backstories. We're going to start off with Reaper because he's got quite the big one. Reaper was casually just a robot. I know that's weird just saying casually. He's just a robot that can speak and think for himself, but he was actually reprogrammed by an underground gambling ring that was assembled to basically gamble on his body count. After he found out, though, Prophet, obviously a fellow specialist, disengages his failsafe, I guess we could say, and Reaper goes out and kills all of the people who reprogrammed him. And his real name is EWR115. Now that probably doesn't mean anything, but it might be a little reference to zombies, which is pretty cool. So Reaper obviously came from an underground gambling ring. That's how he met Prophet, because Prophet basically stole him from said gambling ring, and like I just said, reprogrammed him so that he was self-aware of what happened. Reaper got pissed off, went back, murdered everyone. So Reaper is a super kill happy dude, which is terrifying to say the least. Moving on, Ruin and Battery actually knew each other before they became specialist partners. Ruin and Battery actually went to military schools together. Later on, Nomad and Outrider also became a part of Ruin's, I guess, little squad. There's a very strong bond between Ruin, Battery, Nomad, and Outrider. Outrider actually grew up hunting people, which is terrifying as well. This is the reason behind the bow and arrow and the vision pulse as her ability. It's very reminiscent of her past, where she would go out and literally track people down and kill them. Prophet actually had both of his parents die, and he couldn't do anything to prevent that. He now loves technology and cybernetic augmentation, as Hypobromite put it. Seraph has cut off her own arm just to use her annihilator with a cybernetic arm. Talk about some dedication. Like, if that's not the definition of badass, I don't know what is. Moving back to Ruin, because he's also got some more beef. Him and Spectre really dislike each other. Like, there is no bond there whatsoever. That's like Jake Paul and Disney at this point. Ruin is Jake Paul and Disney is Spectre. Not saying anything bad about Ruin, just trying to make a pop culture reference. It wasn't that good. I'm sorry. Moving on. Firebreak, which is actually one of my favorite specialists in the game to use, is just straight up a lunatic and is absolutely insane. You can definitely tell this if you listen to his in-game dialogue, because all of it comes from a very dark place, if you ask me. So that is pretty much all we get from the player backstories or the specialist backstories. You notice I didn't really mention Spectre too much, and that is because Spectre's background is super mysterious. We don't really know anything about him. However, he plays a super important role later on in this multiplayer backstory, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But for now, I do want to play the 9.1 transmission that basically reveals the plot behind these 9 characters. Let's roll it.
Based on the requirements laid out at the start of this procurement process, I'm certain that the intelligence gathered in the dossiers in front of you will lead you to conclude that the 8 referenced individuals will be the best subjects for your program. Further, I believe that the plant you specified be placed amongst them will independently verify my findings. As instructed, the intelligence was gathered covertly, using a number of...
Are you certain they were unaware of your surveillance?
Yes, sir. I'd stake my reputation.
There's more at stake here than your reputation.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Very well. Leave us. We were never here. We have never spoken.
So obviously, what we got from this is that basically these 9 specialists are taking place in some sort of test simulation operation, whatever you'd like to call it. This is sort of trying to be kept on the down low, and notice that when these 2 guys are talking, one is talking, reporting details back, and the other person in this conversation is responding back as what seems like the first person's superior. Obviously, they're trying to keep it on the down low, as I just said, and at one point, he mentions 8 individuals rather than 9, and obviously there are 9 specialists, so why did he leave out one? That's because he also referenced that one individual was a plant, or a spy we could call it. Now you guys are probably wondering, who is the spy? We're gonna get to that, trust me, because that is my favorite part of this entire multiplayer backstory. But I do also want to mention the, I guess, the too long didn't read of this breakdown of this multiplayer backstory. Essentially, these 9 characters or specialists are the best soldiers in the world in their respective categories, and when we play online, we're playing as their minds in the simulation. The simulation records what happens and can be replayed to better them as soldiers, essentially making a super soldier mentality and awareness. The only thing is, Reaper doesn't actually have a mind. He's a robot, and he wasn't actually involved in this simulation with his brain, so he can't essentially be in the simulation. He's actually there to monitor the other specialists. To explain it a little bit more clearly, I guess, every single one of these specialists, with the exception of Reaper, because he doesn't actually have a brain, is involved in this simulation. Their minds are in this simulation. Reaper, of course, though, is just a robot, so he doesn't have a mind to stimulate with a simulation, if that makes any sense. Hopefully that cleared it up a little bit better. Hypobromite on Reddit actually put the too long didn't read as the 9 specialists actually had their consciousness uploaded to a machine to create a combat simulator, which is basically the easiest way of putting it. Their consciousness was then transferred into a computer and uploaded to make a combat simulator. So every single time we play online, that combat simulator is in action, which is super weird to think about. Like, it's honestly sort of, it messes with your mind. It's sort of a mind f***, if you ask me. But now that we've gotten all that out of the way, we can talk about my favorite part of this whole backstory, this whole multiplayer storyline. Who is the spy? Who is this plant? There are really only 2 choices, because a lot of them can be narrowed out because of their backstory. It's either Reaper or it's Spectre, and here's why. Reaper was made to monitor the other specialist. He has no brain to simulate on, and is essentially just there to watch and record the others, making what seems like, I guess, the perfect plant. You know, he has no business being there. He's literally just watching and monitoring, so anything that goes astray or anything that goes right or wrong, he can then report back. Does that not sound like the perfect spy? That's definitely the motives of a spy, but we also have Spectre, who really throws off the chance of Reaper being the spy, because Spectre fits it so perfectly as well. And here's why. Spectre hides behind a voice changer and has no real identity, unless he is killed by a purifier. If this happens, then Spectre's voice changer actually breaks, and you can hear him screaming out in pain with his regular voice, which is the voice of a man. Up until when you do that in game, Spectre has no identification. He's not a boy, he's not a girl, he's not anything but Spectre. Not to mention that most of the other specialists have no real connection with him. He is definitely the odd one out and really doesn't fit in too well. Also, he has no backstory. We don't know anything about his past, who he is, who he was, whatever it may be. We know next to nothing about Spectre besides the fact that he is a male. There is a male behind that suit, which only comes out when burned by a purifier. So I'll leave it up to you guys in the comments below. Who do you think this plant is? Who do you think the spy identify is, out of these 9 specialists, you're more than welcome to express your theories on why it may be someone other than Reaper or Spectre, or you're more than welcome to talk about why exactly you think it's Reaper or Spectre. I'd love to see the conversations get going in the comments. If you guys enjoyed this video, I thought it was personally super cool. I really enjoyed it, so hopefully you guys did as well. Make sure to leave a like rating on it. It really does help me out, and I greatly appreciate it. Like I said at the beginning, if you guys are new to the channel, consider subscribing. It would be awesome to have you join the family, and make sure you turn those channel notifications on so you can become a part of that notification squad and never miss another upload. That is going to wrap things up for today. I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you guys later.